Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and welcome to LifeSpa.com, where we prove ancient medical wisdom with modern science. And today, I want to talk about technology and our children. You know, we are in the midst of one of the greatest human experiments of all time, dealing with technology and social media with our children and adults alike. My wife and I have raised 6 children from 14 years old up to 29 years old. And I was able to interview each of my 6 children. And that interview, or those interviews, are in a blog about kids and technology. You actually have a podcast about kids and technology that I invite you to listen to, and where I go into the details of all the science about kids and technology. In the blog, called Gigi's blog, my daughter, my 14-year-old daughter, who just finished middle school, wrote a blog about her experience with social media in what you could call the middle school, which is social media on steroids. And she wrote, I thought, just the most profound blog about her personal experience, positive and negative, and struggles with social media. And the bottom line, I'll give you a little glimpse of what she wrote. Now, you have to read this blog. It's so sincere and so cute. And what she wrote was that you can connect with people on social media. Matter of fact, you connect with tons of people on social media. But it's difficult, maybe even impossible, for us to connect directly, heart to heart, to really get what's on the inside. Because social media just gives you experience of what's on the outside. It's quick, it's easy, and it's surfacey. It's what you look like. Everybody has to be perfect. And she shared some really beautiful, deep insights from a 14-year-old. And I was blown away by what she wrote. And you have to read her blog. And it's called something like my 14-year-old's take on social media and technology. So please go to my website at LifeSpa.com and check that out. Also interviews with my other kids. The interesting thing about technology is, you know, when it first came out, everybody was saying everybody is isolated on their computer, not interacting at all. And now we have technology which has completely turned that upside down. Kids are interacting with streaks and threads with 20, 30, 40, 50 kids at a time, constantly communicating, over communicating. But maybe like my 14-year-old kind of tapped into, is it really deeply connected? Do you really feel safe to open your heart and let yourself out in that environment? Powerful, powerful information. I want to share with you a few things and a few snippets of what the podcast talks about. The New York Times did a report, and they found that kids and adults alike check their phones about 150 times a day. 46% of them said they could not live without their phone. One study said that if they took the phone away for 24 hours, they would experience severe distress. And the fact that it is extremely addictive. To the tune, one study said that 60% of users are addicted. And when they take the social media or the phone away, they can experience severe withdrawals akin to alcohol, drug, and nicotine withdrawals. So it is a powerfully addictive substance. A couple of more studies, they reported that and I'll read a couple to you. 92% of kids go online daily. 24% say they're online constantly throughout the day. 76% of teens use social media. 71% of teens use Facebook, 52% Instagram, 41% Snapchat, 3% Twitter. What these social media companies have done, much like how gaming companies have done, they incentivize you to go on again and again and again. One gaming company, which is not uncommon, they have situations where if you want to get some extra power or extra money or extra coin of some sort, bonuses, you have to go on and go back and sign back on to that app at 12 o'clock or within an hour. And you can pay to get the bonus if you go on before the hour, but to get it for free, you have to go on every hour. And apps become more popular, therefore they're on the first page of the App Store when they are opened more frequently. So they're incentivizing kids to open them up more frequently. Snapchat is the kind of thing where kids can have streaks with 10, 20, 30 kids, where they feel obligated within a 24-hour period of time to Snapchat with them, to send a picture or a little bit of a text or both. And if they don't do it, they lose their streak. And you get little icons that tell you if you're streaking for longer or shorter, and you get benefits and bonuses and all these little incentives to make you want to go on and keep texting and texting, opening your phone and Snapchatting and Snapchatting and Snapchatting. And if you break a streak that's been 100 days of streaking, it can be devastating for the streak, right? So you don't want to break the streak because your friend might think that you don't like them, and they might be really mad at you because you broke the streak. So there's all this underlying emotional pressure for kids to keep the streak alive. Now, how do you keep a streak with 30, 40, 50 people, if that's how many you have, which is not uncommon, when you have homework to do, you have after-school activities to do? When does all this streaking and Snapchatting get done? So it is a real concern. 77% of parents say their kids are constantly distracted. A study at Stanford University, the study with Stanford students, and they were significantly distracted by social media and technology, to the point where it affected their ability to focus and pay attention in class, and also trying to do their homework. 59% say they feel of parents say their kid is addicted. 60% of users admit that they are actually addicted to their device. So there are definitely some issues, but we can't have this discussion without realizing the positive. The positive is, attribute here is that kids can stay connected, that they have much larger social circles. They can stay with friends and continue with friends from camp. My kids went to camp the last couple of years, and they still have those friends from all over the country. One of my sons went to camp, international camp this summer, and he has now friends from all over the world, and he's constantly communicating. They're actually, my son's going into his junior year, and they have plans to go to do some foundation work, some volunteer work in Kenya this winter, because of the communication is so easy and fluid through social media. So I can't ignore the benefits. However, my children in their interviews clearly said that it is a distraction, but you have to learn how to navigate that distraction. You have to learn how to balance it. Clearly, the science shows that using it too much too soon is a real problem, and that's the role parents must play, is how to kind of make rules and stick by them. Please watch the podcast where I go into more of the issues with sleep and addiction and child development and obesity and distractions that happen with kids. But I want to share with you real quick the rules that we employ in our house that seem to work. I mean, nothing's perfect, We use what we call the 24-hour rule. And the studies show when you take the phone away for 24 hours, these kids go into severe distress because they're addicted. So I love it when they break one of our 24-hour rules. And they do have distress over it. But I do it in a non-emotional, no anger, just like they know the 24-hour rule. I go in, I go 24-hour rule, I take their phone, you get it back in 24 hours. There's no argument, there's no discussion, they just don't have it for 24 hours, and it seems to work. So some of the rules that we have in our home are when the kids come home from school, they do have some free screen time. We allow them to have some screen time to connect with their friends and do some of that. They're in high school, it's important to them, it's part of their social structure, it's part of the world we live in now, and I think when you put your kids in a bubble, I find that they tend to rebel over time. And we're talking about high school kids now, not 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds. And that's another issue we'll talk about in the podcast. When homework starts, cell phones are off. They're left in the kitchen charging. They don't have their cell phones when they're doing their homework. So that's a different time, focused time. When they finish their homework before bed, if they finish early enough, they can check their phones and have a little cell phone time before they go to bed. No cell phone time during meals, in restaurants or cars, although we do make some exceptions to that rule. No TV during the schoolwork, so no school week, so no screen times there. In certain cases, and some exceptions are made, but it's super rare. Like if there's a special show on TV and they finish their homework, something like that. Tablets and phones are plugged in at night outside their bedrooms, usually in the kitchen or the bathroom. They are not allowed to have computers or screens or iPads, which they get for free in their school, plugged in their room or next to their bed. There's no phones next to their bed while they sleep. We'll talk about in the podcast how those LED screens and computers and iPads and cell phones literally block the production of melatonin, literally rob them of sleep, predispose them to diabetes, predispose them to obesity, and a whole host of other conditions because of the delayed or lack of production of melatonin, which is the most powerful detoxifier in our body. It's really, really important. So they are not allowed to do that. At our house, we flip the Wi-Fi switch off at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, depending on certain situations where they need the Wi-Fi for homework if it's late at night. You know, there's no rules that are hard and fast. We try to bend as best that we can. That's pretty much it. The middle schoolers and kids have iPads, so that makes it more challenging, but we do have parental controls on all of the technology, and a lot of my kids tell me that most of their friends don't have parental controls. They have free range of the internet, and I think that's just amazing to me that that's happening. I think a lot of parents don't feel comfortable, disciplining, putting rules or structure around their kids, and I think they desperately need it, like it, want it, and look forward to it. And when we do that, everything seems to work well. And what I find is when it doesn't work well, it's because we didn't enforce it the way we should have, or we let it become an emotional thing, where the real key is rules that are not ambiguous, they're clear, and when you enforce the rule, it's without emotion or anger. It's just a consequence, simple and straightforward. And that's how it works. So please watch the podcast where I go into detail into this very controversial subject. Please read the newsletter where I give you more information about the article associated with this video, where I give you more details about the science and the technology. And of course, please don't miss the blog where Gigi, my daughter, writes from a 14-year-old perspective about the ups and downs and pros and cons of her social media experience in middle school. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Hi, did you like this video? Do you like our content here at LifeSpa? You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/John Douillard right here and get this valuable content every week in your inbox.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at lifespa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.